That is when I actually got introduced to the idea of what is a stock market, what is a stock altogether, and how does this entire thing work. That's when I left ASK Wealth to launch my own startup, OPGO. People who want to get in the stock market thinking that it's a get rich quick scheme, that obviously won't last long. Eventually, if you place your bets right, you're following a strategy, you are in the game for a longer run, then definitely you will become rich. And that is the whole idea of the stock market.
Let's say 20-year-old and he wants to get into the stock market, or he wants to just start trading.
Okay.
What would your advice be to him?
So 1 hour every day for a month, you are making a note of all the jargons that are being used, and you should be able to speak on that. A 20-year-old has a lot of time in their hand. I would suggest that you start by interning at a startup and understand how the entire startup works. If someone is having all the money in the world, but does that guarantee success is the question.
What the difference between a real problem and, let's say, just a problem, or let's say building something in a bubble?
Before launching OPGO, I did a smoke test.
Okay.
So what exactly the smoke test is?
Let me start by asking you, how did you get into this industry and how did it all begin? So tell me everything.
Superb. So firstly, thank you so much for inviting me. I think my mom is very happy that someone could finally manage to make me wake up on a Sunday morning. So thank you for that. And to answer your question, right now, as a fintech founder, the journey has been very, very, very tricky, difficult and long. But before I got into the whole entrepreneurship journey, everything was very well planned, in the sense that I knew that I wanted to do something of my own. And to achieve that, the degree required, the work experience required, the internships required, everything was planned accordingly. And that is just me, to plan things very well in advance. And born in a Gujarati family, stock market and market business discussions has always been a part of my routine. And it's now 12 years since I started to, I have been investing for the past 12 years now in the stock market. Started off on a very casual note, but now kind of getting serious. And while this journey was on, the educational part, at least during my times, I mean, if you're not doing CA, then you're not doing nothing. So if you have chosen commerce and if you're not doing CA, then what are you doing? I mean, CA was like, people were just blindly doing CA, and I also followed the herd mentality and ended up doing CA. And it was definitely very difficult, but very rewarding in the end. So after completing my chartered accountancy, I joined ASK Wealth, which happens to be one of the top wealth management companies of India. And I was in their family office team, where we used to advise all the ultra HNI people how to invest their money, where to invest, entire advisory part. The team is called family office team. So the family office team means people who have a huge surplus, let's say 500 crores, 100 crores to invest. So then they happen to become a family office client.
Okay, great.
And advising those families where to invest, why to invest, and supervising all of their investments is something I was a part of that team.
Okay.
And the whole idea came, as I was mentioning, basically, I could exactly see where, all the people are investing, what to expect out of each and every asset class, pre-tax, post-tax returns, everything end to end. And one thing that I noticed was that people really mess up when they start investing in direct equity. When you had to buy stocks individually, it's a different ballgame altogether, and people end up making losses over there. And that was the turning point. Like, if people who are having multiple advisors on board, still they are not able to, make a great outcome in direct equity. So what about the retail investors who don't have access to these advisors? So this is genuinely a very big problem. Because as we speak, even today, 80-85% of the people rely on internet tips or unregulated channels to find trades.
Very true.
And the system is broken, and it's a behavioral shift that needs to be inculcated in the system. And for that, I thought that if I had to disrupt and launch my own startup, it has to be in direct equity space to really make an impact. So that's how the entire idea of OPGO came into the place. So OPGO means opinions on the go.
Okay.
Essentially, we wanted to make a platform that is helping retail investors invest better in direct equity. I mean, the focus was very simple. And to initiate the entire thing, we came up with a community.
Okay.
a community app or a unique scoring system in place where people are just coming and instead of putting on Telegram or Twitter, they are putting on our app their predictions. So I feel that this stock is bullish. I'm bearish on this stock, and the system is scoring. Our platform is scoring everyone based on these predictions.
Okay.
So that's how you actually get to know which person is actually performing and not performing.
Okay.
And it was a really different and a cool way back then to have this entire scoring based community to actually know who is the real trader. So this was our start. Like this is how we began the journey at OP. So eventually, the whole idea being whatever we are doing, it's mainly to build an ecosystem that is helping beginners and people who have heard of stock market and want to make money from the stock market but don't have time or don't have research skills. So then how do you who is handholding this segment? So that's the sweet spot we are targeting, and building an app which doesn't overwhelm them, and it's kind of just helping them enter the direct equity space with
Okay.
ease.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what my next question is. Whether if a person is like just getting into stock market, so
Correct.
should he be investing in for the short term or the long term? What's your take on it, or is there completely a different strategy?
So there cannot be a blanket rule for
Okay.
everyone. It's very important, like what is bringing them to the stock market. If anyone who is getting into the stock market, just they need to ask themselves like what is getting you to the stock market. So if someone told you that, oh, मैंने double किया मेरा पैसा,
Yeah.
and if someone is telling you, okay, no, this is something you need to do, or I mean, whatever. I mean, so that will set your expectation right. I mean, what is getting you to the stock market? So just ask yourself that question, and I would. So short term also is a crucial part. Long term is also a crucial part. At what stage you are in, how much money you have, for how long you can remain invested. Couple of questions that needs to be answered before one decides their strategy.
What are your thoughts on people who are kind of trying to get rich quickly through the stock market? So what are your takes on that? Should people first of all get into the stock market thinking I want to get rich quickly, or
Correct.
anything
So
else?
people who want to get in the stock market thinking that it's a quick
Get
rich,
rich quick scheme.
get rich quick scheme.
Yeah.
So that obviously won't last long. So I mean, it may last for 3 months, or you may realize that it's not a fact in 3 months or 12 months or 2 years, and whatever money you lose, definitely you'll end up losing. That way is going to be your MBA in stock market.
Okay.
So just treat that like your MBA.
Great.
Definitely there
That's
is no
that's an awesome advice, by the way.
yeah. So quick rich I'm not aware of, but rich scheme, yes. I mean, eventually if
Yeah.
you place your bets right, you're following a strategy, you are in the game for a longer run, then definitely you will become rich, and that is the whole idea of the stock market.
Okay.
But quick is very tricky. That is फिर तो सब लोग यही करते ना.
What are your future plans with the company? Where do you see it in the next 10 years? What are your plans like?
Right. So the whole fintech industry is such that it's changing every 1 year.
Okay.
Firstly, so having a 10-year view is far more critical. But having said that, we are kind of building an ecosystem that is going to empower many more fintechs when it comes to uh, helping their users. So we started off with a B2C approach, and now we are also focusing on a B2B2C approach where we are kind of powering other fintechs and stockbrokers with great research. So while we are having an amazing ecosystem of licensed experts, we are aggregating their recommendations in our gateway and empowering other fintechs accordingly. So we feel that we'll eventually replicate this model across asset classes and in other global countries as well. So that is going to be the plan for OPGO in the coming years.
Awesome. Great to hear. So the idea of this whole podcast is to inspire and educate people who are maybe just starting out their entrepreneurial journey. So my question to you would be, if a guy, let's say 20-year-old, and he wants to get into the stock market, or he wants to just start trading,
Okay.
what would your advice be to him?
Okay. Interesting. So the only advice would be learn, and learn.
Okay.
And the best way to. So I mean, today's generation doesn't need to know. Like they have entire access to all the social media, all kind of courses. They are very smart enough to get things done. So if someone actually wants to do it, they would have done it as we speak.
Yeah.
But one simple exercise would be that you start watching news channels around the stock market and watch it for an hour daily, and try to catch hold of all the jargons that are being used. And so 1 hour every day for a month, you are making a note of all the jargons that are being used, and you should be able to speak on that jargon for at least 1 minute.
Okay.
So that is the level of learning that one needs to do. Once that is done, it's done.
Okay.
I mean, then it's just about how much. Then it's all about the practical experience, like when you actually start investing and trading. So that will come at its own pace. But the initial, literature that one needs is to just learn, and there cannot be any other alternative to this. So one has to learn. One has to be very well aware of what is stock market, how does it work, why this company, all the line items of the balance sheet.
Okay.
Understand, I mean, you are investing in a company, then you should be knowing about the company and all the financial terms used. And the best way would be to make a practical, mixture of news channels and your own personal courses or your own self-research, whatever it is, or your practical investing experience. So just go all in it, and I think people are smart enough to figure out how to get things done. I mean, there is no real advice as such, but the only advice is to start doing it.
Lastly, to follow up on the fact that you have your own fintech startup, so I'm just looking at everything from a 20-year-old perspective. So let's say a 20-year-old has a idea to, let's say, start a fintech company. So for example, this is the problem that I want to solve. So yeah, should I get into it at the age of 20? Should I wait, do an internship, or learn more, get more experience? What are your thoughts?
Correct. So basically, whether one should be starting their fintech or no, I am no one to judge and I am no one to advise. I mean, it's an open field. Anyone can come and try to disrupt the ecosystem. Having said that, I feel that a 20-year-old, let's say fresh out of college or maybe some master's courses on. So I'm assuming that there won't be a lot of real life practical experience. So which is very essential for a startup. So at least since a 20-year-old has a lot of time in their hand, I would suggest that you start by interning at a startup and understand how the entire startup works.
Okay.
When I say startup, it's just a company, and it's important to understand how decisions are made, how problems are tackled, how hiring is done, what kind of tech is involved, how marketing is done, how do you manage the investors. A lot of aspects open up when we talk about a startup, and which might be difficult for a 20-year-old. I mean, there are cases like Zepto founders where they have achieved great things, but timing plays a crucial role. I mean, access to capital is one, but the entire execution part and ideation part is second. So if someone is having all the money in the world, but does that guarantee success is the question.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
To answer your question about fintech today, everything in the field of fintech. So fintech is very wide. It includes payments, it includes finances, it includes investments. Wealth tech is also kind of a subset of fintech. So it's a very wide domain, and I feel that almost every problem is someone is trying to solve that. So if your idea is unique and you feel that it is not hampering with the regulatory part, so it's kind of also compliant in that sense. And if you feel that your idea is unique, you should definitely give it a go. Then it all comes down to your execution skills, which may be a learning curve. And since you have age, since you are starting off early, why not?
Okay.
So access to capital, definitely, if that is always going to be an issue. But if that is cracked, then execution is always going to be the crucial deciding factor.
How does one spot the difference between a real problem and, let's say, just a problem, or let's say building something in a bubble?
So usually this is very different. A lot of people, they think that it is a problem because they themselves are facing it. I mean, I think that if things work in this way, it would be great. So I look at it as a problem, but that may not resonate with lakhs or crores of other Indians. So that may not be a real problem. So that is something that you and I can't decide, and one needs to, test it out in a very smart manner. So I call it a smoke test. Before launching OPGO, I did a smoke test.
Okay.
So what exactly is a smoke test is? Smoke test involves testing the idea without actually building a product and gauging whether people are actually interested and whether they are coming on your website.
Okay.
So how does one do that? Today, everyone knows how to use Canva and they know how to run ads on Meta. So assuming that you are trying to solve problem A and the solution to that problem is A, B and C, and you're doing it through an app, and an app is having features X, Y and Z. So assuming that the product is ready, how would you market it?
Okay.
You would definitely make creatives that explain the features of the app.
Okay.
We will solve this problem for you, or get this in 10 minutes, whatever it is. I mean, whatever the problem you're trying to solve. So make creatives around it as if your product is ready and you are making creatives to get your app installs, or sell your subscription, or sell your product online. Make those creatives and put a CTA, like sign up to the website or visit no more or visit your website. Okay. So people should firstly look at the advertisement and click on your link. If that initial interest is really not there, then it's a smart way to identify whether people are going to respond to your advertisements. Once the product goes live, everything is in place, and when you start running ads or do any marketing strategy, if people are not interested in that communication or feature or offering, then that's a big risk. So firstly, see what the CTR rate is. So industry standards say that 3.5 to 4% CTR rate is very good. So if you are seeing traction, like if out of 100, 3 to 4 people are clicking on your website, you may want to consider it. The website is a landing page, which is join our waitlist. So a simple communication about your idea, the problem you're trying to solve, the app that you have built, features coming soon. User has to fill up a form saying join our waitlist. We'll let you know once we are live. Just achieve this task and try to, if you're having 10 ideas, make 10 creatives, make 10 landing pages, and make people come to your website. Try to convert them and try to sell them your idea before it's even made.
Okay.
So that is a smoke test, and this takes around a week and 3,000 rupees. You have to run ads like 250 rupees per day. That will give you a reach of 2,000, 3,000 views. Out of that, you need to convert 3.5 to 4% of the audience, and they need to fill up the form on your landing page. So if you are able to crack this smoke test, then maybe your idea has some traction, and it may get some traction, and it's worth exploring. If not, then you may want to reconsider it or experiment with your whatever solution you're having. So these are some smart ways to actually go out in the market without even building a product and no capital.
Great advice. So yeah, lastly, anything you'd like to add, anything you'd like to say to people out there?
Start early, yeah. I mean, starting early is the best thing. I mean, not early in the morning, but early in your life. It's very, very important. I mean, you will, you just have to go out in the market, and I feel everyone is smart enough, and everyone is really smart enough to figure out how to get things done.
Yeah.
And for that, they just need to be in the market. And for that, if you are having an idea, just go for it. Try building a website. Try, doing the smoke test. Just try to make your first sale. It can be, forget capturing whole of India. When people think of startups, they want to build a $1 billion company. They want to directly start talking on the valuation aspect. How do I, they start talking about scale. But sometimes it's just about how you manage to convince 50 people staying in your building or in your pin code. It's as simple as that. If you are able to do that, possibly you can do this at a scale. So first, before you even think of any big dreams or ambition about your startup, just try to convince 50 people in your nearby pin code. And I think that only happens when you are in the game. So start early and go for it, yeah.